On June 21, 1788, the Constitution of the United States was ratified, and the nation was born. The ratification process was difficult and often controversial. Many of the Founding Fathers were worried that the Constitution didn't go far enough to limit the power of the federal government and protect the individual liberties of people in America. Some of the founders refused to sign the Constitution without first being assured of an additional Bill of Rights. So, in order to get everyone to agree on the Constitution, a series of 20 amendments were proposed by James Madison and supported by the author of the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson. 10 of these were sent by Congress to the states on September 25, 1789. Madison and the other founders knew from experience and history that strong centralized government is a threat to both freedom and prosperity. So the Bill of Rights was created in order to prevent the government from becoming too powerful. But how did James Madison come up with these amendments? To answer that question, we have to understand a little bit about the world in the 18th century. Beginning with the early scientists like Descartes and Isaac Newton in the middle of the 1600s and culminating around the beginning of the 1800s, this historical period is known as the Age of Enlightenment. During this period, Western philosophers advanced the idea that all human beings were born with certain inalienable rights, which should not be infringed by anyone, even governments, lords, and kings. While there are many influential thinkers of this time, including many of the United States founding fathers such as Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson, it was British philosopher John Locke who first asserted that all people have three basic natural rights. First, everyone has a right to their own life. Second, everyone has the right to liberty. Third, everyone has a right to keep and own property. In essence, this means that you should not be murdered, enslaved, or robbed by anyone else, including by agents of the government. American revolutionary Thomas Paine elaborated on Locke's ideas. In his 1791 book, The Rights of Man, Paine wrote, "It is a perversion of terms to say that a charter gives rights. It operates by a contrary effect, that of taking rights away. Rights are inherently in all the inhabitants, but charters, by annulling those rights in the majority, leave the right by exclusion in the hands of a few. They consequently are instruments of injustice." In other words, rights to life, liberty, and property don't come from governments or pieces of paper, but from being human. There were also a few historical precedents established by other documents limiting the powers of government. Examples of these include the Magna Carta of 1215, the English Bill of Rights of 1689, and the Virginia Declaration of Rights in 1776, written by revolutionary George Mason with help from James Madison. The Virginia Declaration became a framework for more than just the Bill of Rights. Its opening words state that all men are by nature equally free and independent and have certain inherent rights. This phrase became the basis for the Declaration of Independence. For many of America's founding fathers, the whole reason for revolution was to obtain the individual sovereignty suggested by those words. Instead of being servants of a king or lord, they believed that everyone should have the right to control their own minds and bodies. This idea was almost completely unheard of in the 18th century. The vast majority of people around the world lived in extreme poverty, while working in service of lords often self-appointed through violent displays of force, or who had been granted authority by kings. Speaking out against the ruling class, organizing protests, or attempting to avoid paying taxes would often result in imprisonment, torture, or execution. In fact, many Enlightenment-era philosophers, such as Voltaire, found their works prohibited by governments all over Europe and even in America. Liberty is often fragile and has many enemies with both good and bad intentions, and it is never guaranteed. Many people throughout recorded history in the United States and around the world have fought and died to obtain equal protection of their rights under the law and the simple freedom to live their lives as they choose. Diverse influences contributed significantly to the creation of the Bill of Rights and its eventual ratification on December 15, 1791. Without the founders' knowledge of philosophy and history and their active involvement in the American Revolution, American citizens today might never have enjoyed the freedom from government restrictions on the rights to speech and association, choice of religion, property ownership, or even the rights to self-defense and fair trials. This unique combination of cultural, historical, and philosophical influences produced what is arguably the most powerful tool for preventing tyranny ever created.